Boys are constantly victims, and many of us in today's society are still acting like victims. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 differences between boys and men, because some of these lessons can still be instilled into us today. And many of us have not taken that full step to take accountability for showing up as a man. Boys take their identity from others, where men take their identity from the king. But us as men, we can learn from this list, right? We can learn from all the things here that were bestowed upon us with this list and how we can use it in our daily life. One, to make sure we're living as men and showing up as men daily. But two, as checks and balances for ourselves, to say, am I doing this, or does this need work? Ask yourself those very questions today. All right, let's go. If you're tired, not feeling fit, tired, just not focused, tired, just not having the life that you deserve, this is your place to be. I'm Jason Yarusi. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 differences between boys and men. You know, I just spent the last 5 days at this great church retreat as a leader for young men. And one of the talks that was given was about just the difference between boys and men. And I thought this was just perfect for today, because some of these lessons can still be instilled into us today. And many of us have not taken that full step to take accountability for showing up as a man. So the first one that was brought up is that boys, they take, right? They learn early on to take what they need, right? To go after and get what they think that they deserve. But when you become a man, you give. You give back, right? You give to your family, you give to your workplace, you give to your employees, you give to your health, you give to God, right? You give to all these things, you give to your church, you give to all these different things. You no longer take and just constantly look to consume and just take what you feel is right for yourself. You look to go out there and help by aiding, by giving to others. Number two, boys are constantly victims. And many of us in today's society are still acting like victims. Everything's against you. Society's against you. Your job's against you. Your boss is against you. The government's against you. Your health is against you. Anything that goes wrong, the cops are against you. Your friends are against you. Your enemies are against you, right? Everybody's against you. But no longer do we look at it that instead of looking and pointing the finger at all the reasons that you think you're hurting or not having, men take responsibility. They take responsibility to be in charge of their circumstances, in charge of their actions, and very much more importantly, in charge of their reactions. It takes no more saying to understand that the world is difficult. There's challenges each and every day for all of us in many different ways. But as you look through your life, how much have you truly turned the finger back into yourself and asked yourself, how could I have done differently here? I see so much about people who put themselves in bad circumstances and then are just irate at the outcome, right? How dare this happen to me, when you were certainly the one who pushed the narrative to put yourself in a place that you shouldn't have been in the first place? Where does it come back for you to be responsible for your actions, responsible for how you talk, how you walk, how you show up, how you help? Getting back to number one. Number three, boys spend their lives, right? Spending your lives just playing video games or wasting energy or doing things. And there's a certain part of that, of freedom, of just youth and vigor and all those things that allow you to be. But as you become a man, you have to invest your life. You have to invest your life to be faithful to God. You have to be investing into your life to be a great father, a great husband, a great friend, great to yourself, great to your body, great to your own health. You have to invest into your future so you can create a future that duplicates not for just you, but for so many around you. One of the last talks today was about the trickle-down effect that, over time, we all want things immediately here. But if you have a certain point, right, like a drip of water, right, it becomes so powerful, right? If you have a slow stream, at time, there may be a rock that impedes it and the water may find its way around the rock. But if that water and that stream of water continues to trickle and just hit that rock and hit that rock and hit that rock and hit that rock, eventually it will start to cut through and make its own path right through the rock. And you can think about this in positive ways and in negative ways, right? That trickle effect can just explode into positivity, right? going to the gym 4 days a week, just reinforcing your mind with positivity, having quiet time of reflection in the morning with the Bible, spending quality time with your family, investing into learning more to reading books. Over time, magnificent and massive improvement. Or on the other side, a couple beers each week, every weekend, going out and partying, just eating ice cream 3 or 4 days a week, having just a negative attitude and just constantly yelling at your family or at the workforce, blaming everybody else. That trickle effect can push you in directions that are just outside of your control, but also put you in a place where you absolutely don't want to be. Number 4, men treat women or boys treat women as objects of desire, but men treat women as their sisters whose honor needs to be protected. You look at social media today and you see all these instances of men just not being protective of women, and at many times putting them down, pushing them down, even at times striking them. And so little do we see men that stand up and come to their aid and be protective of them. On the other hand, I know many men that are just magnificent people who stand up to do their best for their family, for any woman who needs help, for anybody who needs help, and put them in a position to lead, to protect, to serve, to care. Number 5, boys will tear down with their words when men will stir others with their words. And the stir is in a positive motion. How are you using what you say? I have conversations all the time where I can just tell the direction of the person's mind with the first sentence that they say. Oh, well, when this happened, man, what a horrible thing this has been, right? Oh, I hate this. Man, it just, things are just not great right now, right? And the last one, there can be truth in that. You can be honest with that. But if you're always saying everything is bad, what do you think your mind's going to tell you? On the other side, men understand that within something that's not great, there's a challenge, but there is a lesson, and there's a responsibility, and there's an action. And there's an understanding that what you do can bring up everyone around you with how you use your words and how you present yourself and how you help to make things better, even when they're far from it. Boys, number 6, boys live in the moment when men live in light of eternity. It's easy to act because it feels good at the moment, right? It's hard to understand that your life and your actions can transpire into greatness, into positivity, into a purpose, into a movement. But you can't just be living in moment to moment where you're not reflecting on how this is going to affect you and others for the future. Number 7, boys will quit in a trial while men will stay and fight. I mean, what a great list this is. Men stand up for what they believe in, true purpose to that. They stand up and they say, this is everything, and I will stand behind it. Belief in God, right? There's many challenges that we talk to about these boys that they're going to be challenged constantly, that from people that just honestly don't understand it, haven't heard about it, or truly don't believe it and have disgust for it. They're going to be in a position where they have to stand up. And the hardest thing as a man, but also as a young boy, right, is to be in a position where 10 people say one thing, but you're the one who believes another thing, to stand up and say, I understand that you have a position, but this is my position, and this is what I stand for. Number 8, boys are spiritually passive. Men reject spiritually passivity daily. Simply put, are we having quiet time in the morning? Are we reflecting, get up and praying? Are we doing the things that we need to be to walk in a way of Jesus? If we ask ourselves daily, are you saying your prayers? Are you reading your Bible? And I'm guilty of this too, of not putting into quiet time the work to be closer to God. But we can all learn from this lesson of how are we showing up daily. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. Number 9, boys take their identity from others where men take their identity from the king. We had this great lesson, honestly, about Jacob, which stands for heel grabber, was what his name stood for, right? And how in a wrestling match that he hung on to God, right? Because he wanted to, hang on to something finally instead of pushing everything away and trying to work through it to himself. And from that, he was given a new name. And I too could give myself a new name today, but only one can change our identity. So in yourself today, how are you showing up? What are you clinging to? Are you bringing yourself to speak to God when you have challenges, when you have struggles? Or are you constantly trying to push away and say, you know what? I should be able to figure it out on my own. There's many things as men that we want to hold on to and just say, I should be able to do this. But we have to give ourselves to God to understand that there is a path here. There's a plan here. And even though we can't see all the steps are there. And that's why hindsight becomes completely evident in 2020 fashion. But looking forward, we have a massively hard time connecting the dots. Lastly, number 10, boys do the bare minimum when men exceed expectations. As funny as it is, we had to clean up the cabin on the way out, and the boys kept trying to say, well, how much do we have to clean, right? Can we just pick up 2 things each, right, apart, right? And there's this part where can we just do as little as possible to get the result? Where the question is, we have to do it until it's done and do it till it's great. And life is about that, right? If you want to be mediocre in life, just do what you can to do the bare minimum and see what happens. Do what you can to constantly not do the work when the time is needed. But if you're a man, you go over and the top to just do your best on everything, regardless when people are looking, most importantly, when no one is looking. You push yourself past the level to do great things. Now, I can't take credit for this list. This was a massively impressive list put together by New Vision Church. It was very important for the boys to listen to this and just to learn this, and hopefully to reread this and go through their notes and understand what it, but us as men, we can learn from this list, right? We can learn from all the things here that were bestowed upon us with this list and how we can use it in our daily life. One, to make sure we're living as men and showing up as men daily, but 2, as checks and balances for ourselves to say, am I doing this or does this need work? Ask yourself those very questions today. All right, that's what I have for you today. This is the Live More Podcast. I'm Jason Yarusi. Let's do this.